Okay, that was kind of funny. Hi everyone, it's Ellen from Flandrens Interiors. I had my camera lens pointed the wrong way, so I had to shut it off and come back on. So I just want to do a quick video. I'm gonna mostly do just a video on some of the prep for painting a door. This is one of the it's a faux wood door. I guess they call them fiberglass doors, I'm not sure. This one, when we bought this house a few years ago, was completely bleached out from the sun. It was super rough. It was just a mess. So I think the first couple of weeks we were here, I sanded it all down, and then I stained it this dark brown that you see now. But I've been meaning to get back out here and do a nice paint job of it, because the brown that's on it now is kind of getting a little faded from the sun and whatnot. So I'm just going to show you a few things as far as prep. So if you're doing a door, you need to have your door clean. So you either need to use something like crud cutter, TSP, any kind of degreaser. Trying to think, just some, even Dawn dish soap with water would work. Anything that you can use to get the grease off the door and the dust off the door. And if you can hear behind me, the reason I'm not going to do a live on this today for the whole thing is because of all the machinery behind me. It's just non-stop for 2 years now, so I get a ton of dust on this door, and we power wash the door a few times a year. We power wash this whole alcove. It's just an absolute mess from dust here, so everything's messy. So what I use to clean is TSP. I buy the Fusion Mineral Paint TSP, and I just mix a capful in. Can you hear that? It's just awful. A capful in a liter of water, and I would spray it all over the door and then wipe it down. However, I'm going to give this door a little bit of a sanding. Now there's two ways you can do it. You can clean your door, then sand it, just scuff sand it. Or you can take a Scotch-Brite with the really scratchy green side. It would have to be a fairly new one that's fairly scratchy. Spray your TSP on and then rub the door down with the TSP. So what it does is it cleans and scratches it up, like basically sands it at the same time. And then you don't have to do a separate sanding. So the other hoping you can hear me, really, it's so loud. The other thing is, if you have stain on your door, which this one does, but it's been 3 summers now, so the oil in it is basically all dried out and gone. But if you did, what I would suggest is clean it with TSP or some kind of soapy water, wipe it all down, and then take mineral spirits. And what the mineral spirits is, you put it on a rag and you wipe it down, and it will take the oils off the door. So just in case there's any oils from the stain left on it, and then do your scuff sanding, and then just dry dust it off after you scuff sanded. So this is the colors. I have done a little color palette for you, and I'm hoping you can see. Let's back it up here a bit. Okay. So these are all Fusion Mineral Paint colors. Just so you know, we took some of the darker ones. We knew we didn't want to go light like the trim color. We didn't want to have this white trim color. So we went with some of the darker ones. This is the Cranberry Fusion Mineral Paint, Midnight Blue, Bayberry, Soapstone. I find the Soapstone is very blue, like a powdery blue. And this is the Twilight Geranium. This is a new color. So of the two of these, I'm going to put my glasses on and take a look at this. Of the two of these, I know already, whoops, I'm trying to find my lens, that I don't particularly like the Soapstone or the Bayberry with this green siding. So we have a sage color siding and almond colored trim. So the Soapstone and the Bayberry, I think, the Bayberry is too much the same green, and Soapstone is too much of a powdery, dusty blue. But I really like the Midnight Blue. I think that would go well. I even think the cranberry would go well, but I wonder what it would be like in the summer. So of the two, I'm leaning towards Midnight Blue and Twilight Geranium. So it came down to a vote between me, my husband, and the lawn guy that was here, who just happened to show up randomly. And we chose to do it in Fusion Mineral Paint Midnight Blue. So I am going to be painting this door in Midnight Blue today. I will do the whole thing off camera because I don't want this ton of noise. They've stopped for a minute, but it'll be back on in like 2 seconds. But look at this. This is what happens around doors. This is grease from somebody's fingers, right? This is why you have to wash your door down, because if you don't wash it down, and look at the dust. This is just dust in here from, you know, the equipment on the road here and all the running back and forth and dump trucks. It's just really dirty. You don't have to take this off if you're really good at taping around the whole thing. You'd want it to be super tight taping. So I don't think I didn't bring tape out here, but it's probably just as easy to take this whole thing off. It's just a few screws on the other side. I might take it off because I don't think I want to really be painting around this handle. It's kind of a long handle and it would be very hard to get into. So when you paint, I'm just going to show you really quickly. When you paint, you start with the insets, right? So these are the insets here. I'm going to take this off so you can see a little bit better the rest of the door. So this door has sort of an arched look to it up there. You can see that. So when I paint, I'm going to do the inset, this inset part. Then I'm going to go down into these grooves, just a nice layer down into the grooves, down to the lower insets and the lower grooves. And then I will come and paint this out. Now, if you look at this door, because it's a faux wood door, this has a really almost light, it almost looks like a wood grain. You can see how the stain has faded, hey? It's really bad. It has like a faux wood grain. I don't know if you can see that. So when I paint it, that wood grain is going to show up. And I love that. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. Some people would say it's terrible to paint these expensive faux fiberglass doors, faux wood doors. But you know what? I think a house on the street with a nicely painted door and a nicely painted garage door are just beautiful. And in this porch, we have not one door to do, but we have 2 doors. This door here is really in bad shape. We have never painted this since we moved in. So you can see, I'll put you down a bit here. You can see nicks and dings there. These are all scratches. Everything, and it's just like a powdery, it's just like dust. This paint is so old. It's, well, I shouldn't say so old. It is 8 years old, and that's old for paint. So anyway, here's our alcove again. There's the garden that the mice run around, and usually we have a lot of birds out here, but so I'm going to show you with this TSP. This is like the fastest way to prep your door. Spray it and scrub it with this scrubby. And you can see right there I hit some grease and it's just taking it right off. So what this is doing is it is cleaning it with the TSP and scratching the surface at the same time. I know this scratches the surface because I used it on my beautiful stainless steel stove one day. And I scratched the stainless steel. It was awful, and it's a very expensive stove. So I know these work like crazy, but they have to be a fairly new one. And if you do this, you're kind of doing the 2 birds with 1 stone thing where you're scratching up the surface, plus cleaning it at the same time. And then after I do that, I would just spray it again a little bit, make sure it's wet, and just wipe it down with a cloth. Get right in these grooves here. And then I would just let that dry for, 2 minutes. It doesn't have to dry long. Fusion mineral paint is water-based paint, so you can have a little bit of water with it, but look at that dirt. That's just from that. Isn't that awful? That's not all dirt. That is actually the surface stain coming off where I've scratched it. Now you can see right here how it's scratched it. So that's what I want, because the paint, if the paint went on a really smooth and perfectly smooth surface with no texture, I can feel the difference just there to there. Now this is a fiberglass door, so it's not gonna stand up like a wood door and feel like it's wood. It's gonna feel still like fiberglass, but I can feel like a dullness to it now. Whereas over here, I can feel, you know, a little bit of the old wood stain. So this is partly dirt. I'll show you dirt. I'll spray a clean piece, and I'll show you what we get from these dump trucks. I'm going to go right up here, and I don't know if you can see it very well, but that's from the dump trucks as well, so it's very dirty. So I'm going to do that. I want to talk a little bit for a minute about choosing a color though, because I see a lot of people questioning what color to paint their door. So the first thing I would suggest is take a good look at the color of your siding and your current trim work. If you're keeping the color of your siding and you're keeping your trim, then you could probably just go ahead and choose a door color. If you're choosing to paint your siding first, I would do that, paint your siding, but at the same time find a color that goes with the paint. So in this case we have this really light sage green, right? And we have this almond colored trim. So I know we're going to keep both of these colors. If I went with like a buttercream yellow, which is a really light yellow, or one of the off-whites that Fusion has, or Dixie Belle, or one of those people, if I went with a pink or a really light green of a different tone, if I went with say a different color, this is kind of in the purple range, this one here, but it's actually, I think it's got a little bit of a brown in it. It's almost got a brown undertone, so it doesn't look purple, but it actually goes really well with the sage green on the walls. And you can even see here, this is bayberry, and bayberry is kind of a bright sage green, I guess you call it, or I don't know what it is really, but I would even go with that. But for this house, I want the door to stand out, so I don't want it to be too light, like the color of that siding. So if I went with a really light color, it would just wash out the color of the siding as well. We also have stonework, so whatever color I pick, I want it to be able to go with the stonework really well. So you can't see a navy blue color in there, but you can imagine it with the browns and the dark grays. So that would be how I would pick a color. If it clashes, if this was a bright orange or a Nazir blue or something that would really clash with your siding color, just eliminate it right away. And take, you know, 4 or 5 sample colors, sample pots, or if you go get your paint at a paint store in town like Rona or Home Depot or Dulux, Benjamin Moore, try to find a chip that's as close to your siding color as you can, and then just look around for something that accents your alcove. So this color should accent our alcove. If I go back here without tripping, okay, if I go back here and I pick that blue, it should accent this whole area, not wash out the siding even more. It should become an accent for itself. And then when I put a wreath back up, it'll just pop. So that's the goal. I actually don't mind the color now. This dark brown, I've had it for a couple of years, and this dark brown is Kona, it's Varathane Kona color, and it's a gel stain that I had put on, but it was a lot of work originally. This door was just an awful mess. So I hope that helps. I think I've kind of covered everything. I'm going to go ahead and paint this door, and I'm going to load the video to YouTube probably tomorrow. I can't load it to Facebook because it'll be too large of a video, but I'll put it on Facebook or on YouTube, and I'll let you guys know when it's up. And then I can block out all of this noise in the background here that's very distracting if you listen to it. I mean, it's loud. So I am going to go get some better paint pants on, and I will talk to you guys later, but I hope that helped. Okay, bye.